Hello and welcome to National Herald. I have with me today Mr. Prashant Bhushan, whose name itself is enough of an introduction. A human rights lawyer, a human rights activist, and a significant force again in the India Against Corruption movement and the institution of Lokpal in our country. He would speak to me on the issue of Lokpal, corruption, and the politics of the country. Good evening, sir. Welcome to National Herald.
Good evening. My pleasure.
Sir, you played one of the significant role in the India Against Corruption movement, pushing for Jan Lokpal. So, how do you reflect on your role today? And were the negotiations difficult? Did it give you satisfaction, or did you still have some reservations even after the demand was considered by the then government?
So, I think it was a much needed movement because corruption was certainly a serious problem. And if a Lokpal is set up properly, then it can have a significant impact in investigating and prosecuting the offenders in high places, particularly, and thereby reducing corruption. It was also useful that it succeeded in galvanizing, energizing a lot of young people in the country in support of that movement. However, unfortunately, two, three unfortunate things happened. One unfortunate thing was that the BJP and Mr. Modi took advantage of that movement, political advantage of that movement, in order to politically destroy the Congress and come to power. Their regime has been much worse, very, very draconian, fascist, etc., and therefore much worse in most ways than the Congress. The other unfortunate thing that happened was that even the Lokpal did not come to be finally actuated. And the reasons for that were that firstly, the Congress didn't appoint a Lokpal at that time. Then the BJP, when it came to power, also did not appoint. We had to go to court, and the court took a long time. And the court did not even allow the leader of opposition to participate in the selection process. There was no transparency either, with the result that absolutely useless people have been appointed Lokpal, who have done absolutely nothing for the last 1.5 years. They've just sat in a 5-star hotel and enjoyed their salary and perks, etc., without doing anything. It has no credibility. Nobody goes to them. And the other unfortunate thing was that the Aam Aadmi Party, which was a party which was born out of the anti-corruption movement, unfortunately, it got hijacked by Arvind Kejriwal, who not only betrayed all the founding principles of that party, that this would be a party which would usher in alternative politics, which would usher in transparency, which would continue to fight against corruption, which would set up their own Lokpal in the state. All those principles on the basis of which the party was founded were betrayed by Kejriwal. And thereafter, and that kind of has sort of been a big dampener and a setback for all the young people who came out with great idealism in support of this movement and in support of the Aam Aadmi Party to begin with, thinking that it would bring in some kind of alternative politics. So this is the pluses and minuses of that whole Lokpal campaign.
Yeah. You called the Arvind Kejriwal's Delhi Lokpal bill as Jokpal. What happened? And would you say the central bill was any improvement on that?
Yes, I think the central bill was an improvement on that. The central bill was not quite the Jan Lokpal that we had wanted, but it was reasonably good. But unfortunately, the kind of people who have been appointed Lokpal by this present Modi government, I mean, they have rendered it into a Jokpal at the central level also. Of course, Kejriwal's bill was very bad because it made the state Lokpal completely subservient to and completely under the control of the state government, which was not, I mean, which defeats the whole object of having an independent Lokpal.
Right. Why do you think the BJP government took such a long time to finally constitute the Lokpal? And are you satisfied, like you already said, that you're not satisfied with uh, the, the selection of the members? So if you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, you see, they didn't want to have any kind of anti-corruption ombudsman, and they have destroyed all anti-corruption institutions. They have destroyed the CBI, they have destroyed the Enforcement Directorate, they have destroyed the Income Tax Department, they have destroyed the CAG. All anti-corruption bodies have been systematically destroyed by the Modi government, and therefore they didn't want any Lokpal either. Finally, when they were forced to do so by the Supreme Court, they appointed, but they appointed complete lackeys who wouldn't do anything, who would just sit and twiddle their thumbs in five-star hotels.
So we have not seen any significant development at all in this regard.
Yes, unfortunately.
So in the last few years, there is like it as if there is no corruption anymore.
There is enormous corruption. All the transferring of the airports to Adani, all this, the changing of the power purchase agreements with the Adani group. So the corruption has been mostly by way of handing over public assets and huge windfalls to the cronies of this government, as well as corruption in defense deals like Rafale, as well as so there has been a lot of corruption.
So do you
but
believe
unfortunately,
that, sorry, sir, do you believe that these were the issues on which the Lokpal probably could have acted?
yes, of course it could have, but nobody has any confidence. I have no confidence in this Lokpal. I know that they will do a whitewashing job if I take anything like Rafale deal to them or any other case of corruption to them. They will do a whitewashing job, just as nobody today has any confidence in this Human Rights Commission. And Mr. Arun Mishra is a known lackey of this government. So he has been appointed the NHRC chief. So what do you expect?
Sir, you spoke about Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, but what about some of the other leaders that was associated, Anna Hazare, Baba Ramdev, Sri Ravi Shankar? What do you still see them as crusaders against corruption?
Well, they have not done anything by way of crusading against corruption. I don't believe that Anna Hazare had any oblique political motive. But I think, yes, Sri Ravi Shankar and this Baba Ramdev certainly had an oblique political motive. They were supporting the Lokpal movement mainly in order to bring down the Congress and benefit the BJP. Their affiliation with the BJP is very clear now. Anna Hazare is not affiliated to the BJP, but the problem is that, he needs a large team in order to support him in any movement that he is involved in. Besides, he is quite old now also. At that time, this was 10 years ago, we were there to support him, have the sort of the people and the machinery which would support the fast that he undertook, etc. So I don't believe that Anna Hazare had a political motive, but it's possible that he has some kind of slight bias maybe towards the BJP, but I don't regard him as a dishonest man at all. Unlike Ramdev and Sri Ravi Shankar, whom I regard to be politically dishonest.
Sir, you also had gone to the Supreme Court seeking more transparency in the selection of the Lokpal, and you had prayed that the deliberations of the search committee be made public, but the court had turned down that plea. So, did the court look into the substantive issues, or did they turn it down on technicalities?
No, they turned it down like a Raja turns down. I mean, this was Mr. Gogoi. He behaved like a king in court. Nobody could argue anything or question anything before him. That was his style. He thought he was king. Uh, and of course, he thought he was a super king when he became the Chief Justice. So he could sit in judgment in his own case and so on, that nobody could question him. He could do whatever he wanted. He could do whatever he wanted arbitrarily. All those orders that he passed in the NRC matters also. Firstly, he should not have dealt with NRC because he was from Assam, and therefore his his
Credibility.
biasedness or otherwise would be suspect. No judge from Assam should have dealt with the NRC of Assam.
You're saying he should have recused himself.
Yes, he should have.
And the substantive issues in that plea that you made still remains unanswered.
Yes, unfortunately, those were not addressed by the Supreme Court. And after that, we have seen the whole collapse of the Supreme Court. That the Supreme Court just collapsed totally. I mean, I think Gogoi was the Chief Justice when he passed this final order in the appointment of Lokpal. And he was already in the control of the government, as we saw thereafter in his Ayodhya judgment or in his Rafael judgment, etc.
Sir, you had also mooted the idea of Lokpal for judiciary. Does it have any precedence in other countries? Is the idea ahead of its time?
There are bodies to look into complaints against judges. See, the reason there is no accountability for judges of the higher judiciary except by way of impeachment. And impeachment, we have seen, is firstly a politicized process. Secondly, it's a very cumbersome, impracticable process. It requires signatures of 100 MPs who are reluctant to sign because they are afraid of a judicial backlash, which happens. We have seen that happening. So therefore, we need a completely independent body to entertain complaints against judges and to investigate them and to take action against them. This body must be independent both of the government as well as of the judiciary. It should be appointed by a very broad-based committee where the government does not have much say, and the government certainly should have no control over them, nor should the judiciary have any control over them, sitting judiciary, that is, because they are examining complaints against judges. So we do need some independent body to investigate and take action against judges.
Sir, do you think that any such body is possible which could be free from corruption? Does it not seem that corruption is in our DNA, and the experience of these lokaits in the
So
state?
it all depends upon how you set it up. If there is a broad-based selection committee which selects the people transparently, and the body is also required to function transparently, those will be major checks to prevent that body from becoming corrupt.
I'm asking this because we also amongst the public, the entire movement for to eradicate corruption seems to be lost, and people are no longer interested. That's why I'm asking, why is it that the fight for corruption-free governance sort of seems to be lost?
I think the people who became part of the anti-corruption movement at that time, during the Lokpal movement, they felt so betrayed by the betrayal of Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party that they kind of became disheartened, and it created a big psychological setback for a lot of the youth who were involved in that movement. And therefore, it kind of withered away.
Right. So, sir, what will India will have to wait for another movement to to wage a war against corruption? And Is it a losing battle? And if I may ask this question, pardon me for asking, do you see yourself as a champion of a lost cause?
So, yes, we do need another movement. But today, you see, there are more serious problems than even corruption. As I told you, the Congress had become very corrupt. But when the BJP came, we saw that quite apart from the corruption, which was almost as bad, if not worse, than the Congress corruption, there were other more serious problems. That is fascism, communalism, uh, this kind of very authoritarian behavior, uh, centralization of power in the hands of one or two people, uh, promoting a culture of violence and abuse and fake news and so on. So therefore, corruption in order of importance, in terms of the problems that we see in this country, corruption has kind of gone down below more important problems which have surfaced.
Right. So, last question: what immediate structural changes and changes in the law that are would you recommend that are required to for the Lok Ayuks and the Lokpal to be more effective?
No, we want all those things which were there in our original Jan Lokpal bill, which we had created, uh, from which there was some deviation when the Central Act was passed. But even the Central Act, as I say, was not that bad. It's okay, provided you have the proper people manning that institution. But subsequently, they have made some amendments to the Act. They say that public servants don't need to disclose their assets, etc. Those are all retrograde amendments. The original 2013 Act is not too bad. And provided we have proper people selected for that job, it can be a credible body.
So, are you still chasing this issue? Then, are you still planning to take these matters up in various ways, whether it be it a movement?
Fortunately, these fellows who have been appointed will be there for some years, for another couple of years or so. So we can't really do anything about it. I mean, they have been appointed. Their appointment was tacitly approved by the Supreme Court at that time.
Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to us.
Not at all. My pleasure.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure to speak to Mr. Prashant Bhushan. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope you would keep watching National Herald YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon. Thank you for watching and see you next time.